welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you all more information about a goddess that I work with. Everyone loved the video I made about Lilith, so I thought that I would go ahead and start making this a series and start talking about all the different gods and goddesses that I work with and that I know of. If you haven't seen the first video I made about goddesses, I'll link that above. I made a video all about Lilith, so if you're interested in learning about Lilith or you want to work with her, then check that video out. But today we're going to be talking about Hecate. Hecate is another dark goddess. Similar to Lilith, she's viewed by many as a demon. Many people fear her or think of her as a dark entity, someone that's scary and evil. But in reality, Hecate is not that simple. She's not that scary. She's definitely somewhat intimidating, and definitely you have to know how to work with her and you have to set boundaries with her. But she's not this terrifying entity that many people believe her to be. Like many old gods, there is a lot of debate about exactly where Hecate came from. Many people know Hecate as a Greek god. Within Greek mythology, Hecate is the goddess of witchcraft, sorcery, magic. But Hecate was accepted into the Greek pantheon of gods long after she first made her appearance on Earth. Many historians believe that she originates from Asia, Southwest Asia. But Hecate is about a lot more than just witchcraft, sorcery, magic. She is very much so a guiding light. Hecate is often described as the holder of the torch. She's said to guide her followers through the darkness. She guides people on their paths. She guides people through transition periods. And Hecate is all about the in-between. So many times you'll see Hecate depicted as a woman with 3 heads or an animal with 3 heads. This represents the fact that Hecate is a guardian of the crossroads, but it also represents that she is very much so connected to 3s, and she has 3 facets of herself. So not only is she a dark goddess, but she's also a goddess of the light. So when you see those images depicting her as a goddess with 3 heads or an animal with 3 heads, that is really representing the many ways that she embodies 3s that come up in our lives and throughout the world, just in the natural order of life. So in many ways she represents sky, earth, sea, underworld, heaven, earth, birth, life, death. So Hecate represents all those 3 things. Many people think that Hecate represents Mother, Maiden, and Crone. That's actually a misconception that has just kind of come about relatively recently because of the resurgence of Wicca and the resurgence of witchcraft. At the same time, resurgence of dark goddesses like Lilith and Hecate, strong women that people can begin to work with and feel empowered. So she's not actually Mother, Maiden, and Crone. That's a common misconception. She more represents the things that I've listed before. So because Hecate is all about the in-between, a goddess of the light and a goddess of the dark, a goddess of life, of death, of birth, because she represents all these things and works within all these things, she's very much so a helpful goddess for moving through things, moving from one thing into another thing, transitioning, beginning a new path or continuing on your path that you've already decided on. She's very much so a guidance deity. So she will help to kind of kick you in the butt and get you going where you're supposed to be going. She will guide you with her torch. Because she is a goddess of all realms, of the shadow, of the light, she can guide you through anything and to anywhere. So that is what makes her really special in that way. She can guide you through the darkest of times, through the lightest of times, through a dark time into a light time, through a light time into a dark time. She can follow you anywhere. She can guide you anywhere. You can follow her anywhere because she can go anywhere. So unlike a lot of dark goddesses who primarily only work with the darkness and the shadow, she works with the light as well. So Hecate is very much so about honoring the process. You have to walk the path to get to your destination. You can't just boop and then you're in your destination. So Hecate is very much so about guiding you in that process so that you can continue and that you don't start to veer off of the path or feel frustrated and give up. So because Hecate is a goddess of the crossroads, she's also really helpful for divination and for choice making. She can help you to find clarity in your decision making, decide what path to take, and then she'll help you to begin to take that path and continue to take that path. She'll guide you. So divination is really great to do with Hecate also. And Hecate loves to work with creative people. She is somewhat of a muse in a lot of ways. Because she is so well-rounded and she has such a unique perspective being a three-headed goddess, she has many perspectives. So she has the perspective of the underworld, of the heavens, of the earth. So she can be very inspiring. She loves to work with creative people. She loves to send inspiration and help to show artists images, sounds, sights, smells. She just loves to bring out creativity in people. And because Hecate is of the darkness and of the underworld as well as the heavens and the earth, Hecate is also rumored to be the guardian and the leader of a group of angry ghosts, angry spirits. So it is also said that she is, because she is a goddess of the underworld and a goddess of death, as well as a goddess of life and of the light, she helps the deceased in their journey once they've died. She helps them to cross over, and the angry ones are said to linger with her. So the correspondences of Hecate, the things that she relates to and connects to most strongly, like we already said, the in-between, so dawn, dusk, anything that is an in-between time, even noon, midnight, those times when we're transitioning from AM to PM or PM to AM, any kind of in-between time like that. She's also very strongly associated with the number 3 and with threes, especially the three-way crossroads. The three-way crossroads very much so symbolizes her 3 heads looking in 3 directions on this three-way crossroads. Hecate is associated with the colors black and gray, but also associated with torches, light, fire, candles. Any kind of guiding light very much so represents Hecate. And Hecate is very strongly associated with the dark moon or the new moon. So every dark moon, every new moon, it is a good idea to spend time with Hecate because the dark moon is when you really worship Hecate. You can work with Hecate at many different times. You can work with her at dawn, at dusk, any of those in-between times, but the dark moon is really when Hecate is at her strongest. Hecate is also associated with quite a few animals. She's associated with crows and ravens. She's also associated with serpents and snakes. She's even sometimes associated with owls. And because she is a death goddess, an underworld goddess, she's also very strongly associated with dogs and more specifically wolves. And the things that you can work on with Hecate are shadow work for sure. She loves to help you to deal with any of your shadow aspects of yourself. And she loves to help you to discern how to transmute the darkness into light. So anything like that, shadow work that leads to healing. Hecate is also really great to do any kind of death work with. If you work with the dead or if you do any kind of work with your own previous deaths from past lives, then it is really great to work with Hecate on those things because she is a death goddess and she does help those who have died to transition into the next world. She's really great to work with any kind of death work. So if you work with spirits, if you communicate with spirits or the dead, it's really great to involve Hecate in that because she will help to enhance your practice and to guide you and protect you. She'll hold that torch for you through your death work and through your spirit work. And Hecate in general is really great at helping you to become aware of your unconscious mind. So again, with that shadow self, those shadow aspects, she helps to bring that shadow into the light a little bit more so that you can be more aware of it and work with it rather than against it. And the main thing about working with Hecate that you must do if you're going to cultivate a relationship with Hecate and continue to work with her is Depnon. Depnon happens every dark moon. So once a month we do Depnon. And Depnon is basically a meal for the gods. It's me, as a follower of Hecate, offering a meal to her. So we do this Depnon ritual every dark moon because that is when Hecate is at her strongest. That is when she is able to accept offering from us. And I can make a more in-depth video about what Depnon is and how to do Depnon. Maybe I could even vlog the next Depnon I do and share with all of you exactly how I do it so you can see firsthand what Depnon is and how it works. But basically what you do for Depnon is you find a three-way crossroads where you're not going to be disturbed. I have one on a hiking trail not too far from my house. It's really great if you can just walk out your front door and walk all the way to the three-way crossroads. If you need to drive and then walk, that's totally fine too. But I would definitely say do some walking to the destination, to the three-way crossroads. So even if it's far, drive a certain distance and then get out of the car and then walk the rest of the way. And lots of people like to do a chant or an invocation for Hecate while they walk. Or some people like to set their intention while they walk, and that's kind of the importance of the walking, is to enter that ritual space in your mind and in your spirit. So once you get to the three-way crossroads, you would begin to perform the Depnon ceremony, which would be the laying out of the offering, invoking Hecate and informing her that this offering is for her. You would then invite her to take it, and you would thank her for taking it, and then you would immediately get up, turn around, leave. Don't look back. That is very important. When I first started working with Hecate, it was pretty crazy as an experience. It was the first deity that I started heavily working with, and I was blown away by the feeling of her presence. She has a very strong presence. It's undeniable when she's around. You can feel it. And the reason why when you do Depnon you immediately get up and leave and you don't look back, it's important that you don't run, but you steadily walk and you don't look back. The reason for that is because while Hecate is nothing to be afraid of, she's not evil, she's not any of those things that people say that she is, she's not a demon, she is still a very strong and powerful and intimidating goddess. And because she is of the underworld as well as the heavens and the earth, she does have a very strong dark side. Just like all of us, she's got a shadow self. Remember, she's a three-headed goddess, so she's got three aspects of who she is. So when you're doing Depnon, you're inviting her to, with all those ghosts and spirits that we talked about before, those angry spirits, those angry ghosts that linger with her and are following her in the afterlife, her and all of her ghosts come, as you call them on Depnon, to receive this offering. So once you invite them to take this offering, it's important that you immediately leave, because Hecate will be arriving with her ghosts. When you do Depnon, you immediately feel that it's happening. You invite them to come get the offering, and then you get this sense of, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. It's this really weird feeling that I don't want to say that it feels like fear, because that's not exactly right, but there's this feeling of urgency. There's this feeling of like that instinctual feeling that you get in that animalistic part of you that's just trying to survive. So it's like that part of you kicks in and you have to get out of there immediately. But that's where it's important that you don't look back and that you don't run, because you can't let that feeling consume you and overwhelm you and make you start to behave irrationally. So when you're performing Depnon, it can be intense, it can feel very intense, but it's nothing to be afraid of. As long as you do what you're supposed to do and you leave as soon as you lay your offering out and you don't look back, then you'll be fine. The reason for not looking back is because it's, first of all, disrespectful. You left the offering for her. Don't look back. It's also disrespectful in that you're kind of trying to sneak a peek. So it's just a respect thing. You're leaving them to do their thing with the offering you've given them. And you can give many things for Depnon. Many people give many different things based on who they are and what they practice and what they have access to. When I was taught about Hecate and about Depnon, the teacher told us to give meats. You can give, I believe she said you can give onion, you can give garlic, you can give pomegranates. But because we're putting Depnon offerings outside at a three-way crossroads, it's important to make sure that everything you're laying out is safe for the wildlife and for the soil, for all the plants, and for any animals that might come along and eat what you've laid on the ground. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're doing Depnon. Only put out things that are okay to be in nature and are safe for animals. And also, because I'm vegan, I don't put out meats for Depnon because I don't have any meat. So for Depnon, what I do is I will, every dark moon, I sweep my house just as a part of my cleansing once a month. So I sweep my house and I collect the sweepings. I give those to Hecate on Depnon. And that's because, like I said before, Hecate is all about transitioning the dark into light. So she can take what I no longer need, such as the sweepings of my home, and turn them into something good and something useful and something positive and something light. And also because a dog lives in my house, there ends up being a lot of dog hair everywhere. So when I sweep, I end up getting 70% dog hair because Hecate is connected to dogs, and dogs represent her because she's an underworld goddess. I give those sweepings because it's mostly dog hair. I also usually like to leave some nuts and seeds, partially because Hecate is so strongly connected to birds and specifically crows, ravens, and owls. So I like to leave out some peanuts, sometimes some sunflower seeds. I've also given some vegetables in the past. I've chopped them up and put them out. I've also given herbs like rosemary, but again, you can really leave anything that can be consumed. It's a meal, so do keep in mind that it should mostly be stuff that can be eaten. But again, you know, I give sweepings, so it can be things like that as well, things that Hecate can energetically consume. Remember, she's a energetic being, she's a deity, so she's not necessarily, you know, walking up to the food and eating it. She's consuming it in energy form. So now let's talk a little bit about some warnings and some precautions to take with Hecate. As I said before, she is not a demon, she is not evil, but that doesn't mean that she's not tough and can be a little harsh and a little bit overwhelming. She's very intense. So for that reason, you do have to take caution when working with her. I would definitely say don't start working with her if you're just starting your practice. Maybe start out with a very nice and friendly and loving goddess or god first. And then once you feel like you've really gotten that down, then move on to working with more complex deities such as Hecate. It can be easy to either get in over your head or not set proper boundaries, and then you're feeling overworked or overwhelmed or scared even during ritual. So it's important when working with Hecate to feel ready. If you have any fear about it, then don't do it. You shouldn't start working with Hecate unless you have no fear. Because if you have some fear, then that tells you that you're not really ready. And maybe just study Hecate for a while. Get some books on her, do some internet research. Maybe if you can, go to a library and check out any of the books that they have. Just read about her myths, read about her stories, read about who she is as a deity, and see if she resonates with you. And if she does, then start working with her. So with Hecate, you do have to be careful, but there's nothing to be intensely worried or scared of. With Hecate, we said before, she loves to work with creative people, she loves to work with artists, but within that, you do have to be careful because she can get a little overboard with it. She can get a little overexcited and inspire you a bit too much and start to make you feel a little bit mad and a little bit overwhelmed and a little bit just unhinged and detached from reality. So that's again where we talk about setting spiritual and magical boundaries. So you can tell her, this is how much I will accept from you. I only want this much inspiration, or I just want you to answer this one question. I don't need you to spew a bunch of ideas at me. I just want you to answer this one question. So be specific with working with Hecate and set boundaries. Another important thing to know about working with Hecate is you have to do what you say you're going to do. You have to make good on your promises. Don't promise her anything that you're not going to follow through on. There's one story that I'll share with you from a shop owner here in LA that was told to me when I learned about Hecate. I took a class at this shop about Hecate, and they told this story. But the shop owner has a altar for Hecate in the shop, and there was a day where they were setting up a new altar for a different goddess, and they needed one more candle. So this person, thinking, I need another candle, just went over to Hecate's altar and grabbed one of the lesser needed candles and put it on this new altar for this other goddess. So everything seemed normal from there. And then a little while later, they were doing something else in the shop, not anywhere near the Hecate altar. And they have security cameras all throughout the shop. And there's one that looks right over Hecate's altar in the shop. And they have security footage of Hecate just slowly, the statue of Hecate just slowly falls, as if someone's slowly pushing it down, and tips over a candle next to it, making other things catch on fire to the point where there was a small fire. And they luckily put the fire out and there was very minimal damage, nobody got hurt. But they looked at the security footage and they found that Hecate had pushed her statuary over to knock a candle over to start a fire because she was mad that they had taken a candle and put that candle on someone else's altar. So she's possessive, she can be jealous, she can be angry. She is one for punishment. So if you miss a Depnon, if you don't do something that you said you were going to do for her or for yourself in honor of her, she will punish you, most likely. Doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be a big punishment, might be something small, but she expects you to make good on your promises. She takes loyalty and commitment very seriously. So do keep that in mind. If you start working with Hecate, you kind of can't stop, ever. So do keep in mind that if you are going to start working with Hecate, you're kind of making a lifelong commitment. As well as the fact that if you start working with Hecate, you have to do every single Depnon. So every month you're going to be doing Depnon. Even if you can't get to a three-way crossroads, you can do Depnon at your altar. So you don't have to be outside. If you have to, you can do Depnon inside. But do know that if you start working with Hecate, you're going to be doing Depnon every month. I hope that this was helpful and that you leave this video feeling like you have a greater understanding of Hecate as a goddess. If you start working with Hecate, let me know how it goes. If you work with Hecate already, let me know some experiences you've had with her in the comments. Hecate is a really beneficial deity to work with if you've dealt with trauma, if you have a jaded past, if you come from really hard times or you've come upon really hard times currently. Hecate is endlessly helpful as a deity. And if you want me to make a video about Depnon and how I do Depnon, give this video a like and maybe comment down below that you want that, and I will prioritize that. And I want to encourage you all to follow me on Instagram. The link to my Instagram is down in the drop box. I put on my Instagram every time I upload a video, and I would love to be able to talk to you guys more, and Instagram would help me to do that. And I'm constantly posting witchy pagan things on my story and on my page, so give my Instagram a follow and you'll be up to date on whenever I post a video. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Blessed be.